Yes. 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 Okay.
Spook.
Yes.
Who was that?
That was our wake-up call.
Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I am Sly.
And I am Spook.
And we're back after a hiatus.
Hiatus.
Which meant, you know what that meant, Spook?
I went on a holiday.
But it also meant the Collingwood Brains Trust had Nahu Rant to draw intel from.
That's it. I mean, look what happened to Buckley. He shaved off his beard in disgust.
Yep. And we're going to get to that beard, which has affected fortunes, like the butterfly effect. Alright, so we played West Coast this week. Disappointingly, we lost. Let's just look at this from the start of the game. Mason Cox goes out. And Ben Crocker comes in. It's actually interesting that, like, in the pre-game, Buckley actually talked about it possibly being a scrappy game, ball coming to the ground. So I see like a little bit of logic that, you know, they went for a smaller player, but everyone's smaller than Cox.
Well, the other thing is he could actually be legitimately sore.
Yeah. Oh, but, you know, they could have potentially brought in McClarty,
King Kong,
anyone else. But they went for Crocker, whereas Eagles went the other way. They brought in Kennedy, Darling, that Waterman, also as a taller
player. Didn't he come in this week as well?
Yeah, so they...
All they're underdone players, as we could all tell.
We'll do nothing next week.
All right. You can pack that in.
Yeah. So they went tall, we went shorter. First 10 minutes we dominated. Probably should have been like 5 goals up within the first 10 minutes.
Correct, Mundo.
And then once it started going down there, we started seeing the issues that were probably going to arise, being a little bit short on gorillas down back.
Yeah. I mean, Kennedy, well, he had a couple of opponents tried on him and he sort of out-monstered and out-marked them all. Yeah, I think it was disappointing that those underdone talls destroyed us a little bit.
So I actually would wish that we'd think a little bit more laterally in situations like this. You played more on Kennedy. Who was on Darling? I don't know. I don't really care anymore.
Howe was there for a while.
Yep.
Howe was on Kennedy. I think Buckley rotated all three through Langdon and Scharenberg.
I honestly would have hoped that, you know, you'd maybe do something like, hey, let's play Crisp on Darling, give Crisp the instruction to run off him at all times, try and make him accountable, and play like Greenwood on Kennedy, which is like a ridiculous call, but you're thinking there's no one else that's actually going to be a better call, and then just get Moore and Howe to continually cut in there.
We forgot about Moore and all those players we had playing on Kennedy there too. How did we do that?
But you're providing the
We're just not used to having him around.
Yeah, but to provide the chop out, if you look at someone like Alistair Clarkson, you know, he's an okay coach. When he had Josh Gibson, was it Josh Gibson? Yeah. When he had Josh Gibson down there in defence, he made sure he engineered every week no matchup for him so he could come in third man up. You know, Malthouse did that with Nick Maxwell. Sheedy did that for 115 years with Dustin Fletcher. You know, you could easily play these guys in the best four, but then you're actually curtailing their capability to run off, to you know, provide the intercept and all that sort of stuff. So I actually wish we actually went a little bit left field, given that whatever options we did have, as legitimate as they weren't going to really fare better than, you know, a makeshift Band-Aid option like, you know, a Greenwood or a Crisp.
Yeah, I mean, there's also too, I think, in the third quarter, I think I messaged you about, you know, structurally it would have been worth swapping, say, Mephitic round with Moore and giving Moore a bit of a crack at the full line because that side of it was falling. And Mio, I mean, he's been a defender for years. It would have been worth a shot to see what he could do up there on him and just shake things up a little bit. But we sort of, I think we stuck to our guns. Obviously, what they talked about in the team meetings is what they were only ever going to do.
The guy I really would have liked to
TCR.
thrown up would have been Howe. Howe and Scharenberg looked toasted to me. Scharenberg's looked exhausted for about 4 or 5 weeks, which is not unusual. It's his first full season.
Yeah, and did he have a pre-season this year? A limited one?
I think he had a limited pre-season. Like
well, no, because
that is a pre-season.
He missed a few games at the start of the year before he came in at round 3 or whatever it was.
I think he played like a pre-season game and then he just didn't get looking.
So he's obviously a little bit underdone.
Yeah, but he'd be underdone. I mean, it's his first full season as it is. You know, he's been out for like 4 or 5 seasons basically. Howe's, you know, they've reported like he's got general soreness and all that for a while, but unfortunately you can't drop him because there's no one to play in his place. And I don't know if they'll try and wait until one of the lesser teams and, you know, throw Mephitic down there and just give Howe a rest, but it really limited for options given the injuries to,
everyone.
But that didn't really work for us. I thought in the midfield, Pendlebury was as bad as I've seen in that first half. I don't recall him hitting a Collingwood target. Sidebottom...
He wasn't Robinson Crusoe there, though.
Sidebottom was extremely quiet.
He was well tagged out of the game.
Phillips started well, but then faded. I don't know which other the midfielders we have. They really did nothing. Then you had guys like Crocker and Dacos who had quiet games. Hoskin Elliott must have been carrying that injury from last week where I think he broke his leg and had plates put in. And they've run him in there because they just have no options. He had like about 6-7 disposals, so he really struggled. And who else is there that we're leaving out? Of the forwards, only the Goey looked dangerous.
Yep, and was. Oh, JT was to a certain extent.
I was going to say, Thomas got the goals, but I don't think he actually did anything other than get those goals.
That's what you bag Hoskin Elliott for every other week.
Well, if you're not going to kick goals, you need to actually contribute in another way. So, Myercheck, I thought was pretty good, except he missed
a lot of misses, a lot of sitters.
But he's not the only one.
No.
So there's a lot going wrong all over the place, and it would have been good to see him just try something to shake it up. But this really looked like the game where they hit a wall, and West Coast came to play, and their coach, who's their coach now?
Simpson?
Ron Todd? Ron
Simpson,
Alexander, I don't know, yeah.
Simpson, eh?
This looked like the game where he said, look, I don't think we can play on the MCG and Collingwood's up, let's burst their bubble, let's play this like a grand final, because they really played with the tenacity they've been missing for the last 2 weeks. But then again, they've got these players back, which restores their structural integrity. And,
that's a big factor, I think, too. It's those sorts of quality players. I mean, the thing is, West Coast have really got a lot of good senior players. You don't know whether you should be overly angry, QU, or whether it's just a combination of the fact that we just run out of steam and their seniority saw them through.
Okay, I will cue the first swear word. I will get fucking angry. What is with the mindless bombing into the forward line?
I'm joining in.
And this happened last week against Essendon, and I think Hooker, he had 11.
He was our best forward.
Yeah, he had 11 intercept marks, and I'm watching that game thinking, and same thing with McGovern this game, did not intercept marks because you're kicking it straight to them. It would be an intercept if one of our guys jumped in front and took the mark.
Or if the defender had to move off his spot.
Yeah, but instead you're actually picking him out precisely. You could not pick him out better if he was your own man, but then again, if he was your own man, you'd bomb it and miss him. This is just shit. The amount of times this happens and players don't have the composure just to go, hang on, I don't see one of our players there. I'll just hold on.
You mean the ones wearing the same jumper as me?
Yeah, the black and they,
the guys I talk to at training.
Yeah, and
we have ice baths together.
Yeah, and they contrast against the blue that the opposition's wearing. And this happened like last week. The amount of times they were kicking it and bombing and just hoping that Mason Cox is 9 foot tall. He should be able to reach out and take one. Fucking kick to advantage. Even if you are going to bomb it, kick to advantage where our player can run onto it, where the opponent is behind or to the side, or just not in the fucking in the same vicinity. And I reckon that as much as anything made that Essendon game close, and which really cost us against West Coast. I mean, not just the inaccuracy, but the amount of times we went forward and we're just like, you're picking out McGovern, and people and the commentators are going, ooh, how good is he? It's like, well, he's a good player, but he fucking looks great when you keep passing it to him.
He didn't have to work too hard to be best on ground.
And this has been a common theme with Collingwood. Going back to a couple of years ago, I remember when we played Bulldogs and we had those 9 injuries in the same game. The amount of times they picked out that Eastern Wood, it was like, maybe go for one of our teammates. And this is something they should work out. They need to actually have greater collective intelligence, because that to me is collective imbecility. Yeah, I'm just trying to find a word that I'm not going to upset anyone.
Fuck-wittedness.
Yes, that's a perfect word. It just relax. Look for a target, and if you don't see one, then maybe fucking do a little chip across. You're really good at that. But if you do see a target, then bomb it in their direction, not at the opposition player. So I thought that was terrible. I really disappointed, not even just 2 weeks ago, even in the game against Carlton. Same thing. And
they referred to form a lot.
Yeah, and it's just annoying because you go to the start of the year when they were playing these smaller forward lines and they had like Trelaw coming out of full forward and Hoskin Elliott and all that. They were lowering their eyes and they were going for passes.
Jeez, it worked beautifully too.
Jeez, what a shock that in football you would actually pass to a teammate.
A leading forward.
Yes, it's that. Really,
I think I've heard that term before.
You think like the priority in any game plan would be kick handball to your teammate, not to the fucking opposition. So that really annoyed.
It must get confusing. I mean, I've seen them during the huddles. They just have a magnet on a board. They're not wearing jumpers. I mean, it's easy to make that mistake.
I mean, why would you know your own players after all this time?
I emailed NASA during the week and told them about this, and they came back saying it's not rocket science, and they should fucking know. So there it is.
Well, so the game failed on a lot of levels. My concern is, as I was saying to you a little bit earlier, this loss reminded me a lot of those losses in the second half of seasons when Malthouse was coaching. 02.
Oh, so it's his fault.
Yeah. 06, 07, 08, where we had like really good starts. We had really good starts to the first half of the year. And the second half of the year, we just played this listless, dispirited, flat, purposeless football. And that's what this reminded me of outside of the first 10 minutes.
There's a good reason why it reminded you of that. It was exactly that.
Yeah, and I am a bit worried that players have hit a wall. As we've talked about, who you bring in for, once Cox goes out, it's like, well, you have to go to Crocker. Which other option do you have? Possibly McClarty?
Oh, you could go with someone else who doesn't have the same letter that starts with their name. Maybe he just went down alphabetical order. Alphabetical order.
That's a good point.
Cox.
Yeah, Crocker. But
I think I'm onto something there.
There's not a lot of players that they can actually bring in.
And that's the big issue.
But the
well's running dry.
Yeah. But this is where, you would have thought... And Buckley said it pre-game when he was talking to Goldsack. Just, we think it's...
Fuck, I wish you were out there today, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a scrappy game. Bring the ball around. It's like, well, if you're going to bring the ball around, why don't you just fucking keep kicking it to the opponents? I would have hoped that
just kick it along the ground if that's the case. You're halfway there.
I don't understand in football where coaches go, I don't have the players that I would like to have, but I'll keep playing the same game plan. It's like, hey, we don't have the same tools. Bring the ball down a little bit. Fucking play a running game more. They're playing a tall side. Fucking run it around a lot more. Not just, hey, let's just do the same shit we've always done. Even do something insane. Langdon, throw him at full forward. He's a half-decent mark. Just try fucking something that's going to be different. I mean, remember in 2005 when we had like half the team out, we went to Fremantle. This is when they were a reasonably good side. And Malthouse played Paul LeCurie at centre-half forward. And it fucking worked because he created the contest. He brought the ball to ground level and then he attacked it when there was a ground level. Yeah. But we just played this massively dumb football.
You can only use that, or use what cattle you got out in the ground. And in that example, we've used Treloar really well in that capacity. Or
yep.
We're throwing the go in the guts and brought someone else down forward and really shaken that up. Even this game, we were really robbed of those opportunities that we couldn't do all that much. I think whatever they set out to do worked really well in the first 10 minutes, and then when it stopped working, it just broke.
Well, I mean, another thing too is, that Hoskin Elliott was obviously unfit. I would have played him at full forward and just said, just lead away from the goal.
Take the man away from McClarty.
Well, I don't know how ready he is, but I would have liked, Buckley and the Brains Trust to say, we don't have our grade A team out there. Let's actually change the game plan a bit to suit the fact we're going to be a smaller team, going to be more running. But again, some of the players like Pendles and Sidey just look really stuffed. Howe looks stuffed. Scharenberg looks tired. So I think it's a little bit worrying for the next month.
Oh, if you want to be pragmatic about it, and I'm trying my best, we kept up with them up until pretty much the last quarter.
Well, the big problem
before they started to kick away towards the end of the third, and then they.
Well, the big problem in the third quarter was that Sire and Langdon were off for the bulk of that quarter, so that would have limited their rotations, and that's when West Coast started to get on top.
Sire was a loss, I reckon.
Sire was playing really well.
Some of his handballing out of traffic's just phenomenal.
Yeah. And that was when...
And that really provides you with that extra opportunity to run that we just didn't have.
And he's a big guy too, the way he sort of stands up in tackles and he just rides bumps and all that, and that's, what we've lacked. We've lacked that really big body midfielder.
I like him.
Yeah. But anyway, any final thoughts on this most disappointing of losses?
I went to the big bumper book of football cliches, and I think we almost tried a really bad gag at the start, but this is probably the loss, the wake-up call, whatever you want to call it, that we had to have. Maybe we went in this after winning 7 on the trot a little bit too complacent, a little bit too expectant of the fact that they hadn't beaten us at the G since 95, and we just failed to embrace what that real opportunity was.
You bring up complacency. Let me put this to you. Nathan Buckley shaves his beard. Is that a little bit too complacent?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've won with that beard and now it's gone. If I was like Buckley, I'd be scrounging around the bathroom sink, getting the plunger on the drain hole and just trying to bring that beard up. You should show up next to
plunger on the drain hole.
Yep. He should just glue it back to his face. He should show up the next game with just glued on beard. I think that could be the key. Anyway, that's it for the
clag on the face and wrestle with the dog.
Yeah, he can look like Norman Gunston. That's it for the match review. We'll be back with Media Mephitic. Okay, so welcome to Media Mephitic, where we not only look at Collingwood in the media, but just look at the media in general. The thing I'm going to bring up first off, because we had a hiatus last week, was the umpiring Collingwood-Essendon game.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned this to you at the time. There's a song by Eminem. You like Eminem?
No.
Okay, but I'm going to sing.
I like eating M&Ms.
These are the lyrics from his song, The Way I Am.
I don't know. You're telling the story, mate.
Okay, yeah. So these are the lyrics. When the dude's getting bullied and
shoots up his school,
when the dude's getting bullied and shoots up his school, and they blame it on Maryland and the heroin, where were the parents at? And look where it's at. Middle America. Now it's a tragedy. Now it's so sad to see an upper-class city having this happening. It's amazing what a tragedy umpiring is when it went in Collingwood's favour. Now it's a tragedy. There's never been a tragedy. I mean, last year at Queen's birthday, we were basically rorted out of that game with appalling umpiring. It was like, people like Gary Lyon on radio. Oh, was it really that bad?
Well, there might have been a couple of few ones there, but on the whole, I thought it was pretty good.
And that Queen's birthday, I don't recall any favourable umpiring games to us. Whereas with the Essendon match, I seem to recall McKernan marking a ball from a 6-metre kick straight in front of goal.
And
playing on, being tackled, dropping the ball, and the umpire calling it back going, no, you can have a kick. They got a few goals from really soft umpiring. I thought they probably got the worst end of it, but I don't think, that actually affected the game. As people have mentioned, when the game was there to be won, Grundy, Sidebottom and Pendle stood up.
Mm-hmm. Not the umpires.
Not the umpires. From that same game, Jude, I can't remember who the player was. Some Essendon player jumped up for Mark of the Year on Grundy and missed it, but he brought Grundy down. And Jude Bolton, who is proving himself quite possibly the worst media commentator since Anthony Hudson.
That's a tough battle to fight.
He said, if you're going to go early, you might as well hurt your opponent.
We've come a long way in the sport.
So you get the AFL concerned about the look of the game, the image of the game, and you get a fuckwit in the commentary box saying to all the kids out there watching it, if you don't mark it, hurt your opponent. That's good. Well done, Jude.
Did he ever hurt anyone?
Hey, Jude.
Don't make it bad.
Fucking don't make it too bad. He also went on in that game to talk about, if Essendon only had a Rosio Fantasia.
Well, he's the answer to every commentator's wet dream.
You do notice that Collingwood had 14 players out, but if Essendon had Rosio Fantasia, fucking hell. I can't pronounce this name, so you might have to go with it. Collingwood could sign talented rugby player under the Next Generation Academy rules. Atu Bossa-Nova-Yulaji. I don't know, you can't pronounce that.
This is Atu, blaming on the Bossa Nova.
So he's 179 centimetres, 79 kilograms. Comes from a rugby background, Fijian. He's fast, he's got sure hands, he's a hard tackler because of that rugby background. So he's a possible next generation recruit.
That's fucking fantastic. I've never even heard of this guy.
Make it so. Also, apparently we could sign versatile, tall Bailey Rafe.
Bailey Rafe?
Rafe. Like the actual,
Like a wraith, a ring wraith?
Yeah, Rafe. I did email Collingwood and ask why he's versatile, and they said because he's upright.
Yeah, that's versatility for you.
And also, Will Kelly is moving up the draft order. So Will Kelly's the son of Craig Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to a potential top 30 pick.
Is he?
Yeah, and it would be good if we had one.
Hmm.
Aish, Elliott, Blair and Fasala are back in full training.
Now, I should know these names.
So James Aish got injured in about round 6 or 7, or yes, 7.
Elliott made it through an intra club, I think, didn't he? This week they played an intra club because there's a VFL bye. I'm sure I saw a picture of Elliott kicking on the official website. They may have the word stock footage underneath. But it'd be good if he got through a game.
Well, he said his body's feeling better than it ever has.
What, from the morgue?
But these are the sort of guys we actually need to come back because we're playing guys. Josh Dacos, great prospect for the future, but he is struggling at the moment. Ben Crocker's struggling. You need some experienced bodies in there, and even someone like Jared Blair would provide a good stopgap for now.
And if they're fit, there is still a number of weeks before finals to get them match conditioned.
Yep.
So, fuck it, go for it.
Adam Treloar says he's aiming to be back for the last couple of games, and apparently
did he say what year?
Last couple of games of 2018.
I may have done that gag once before.
Yeah. Last couple of games of 2018 says he's ahead of schedule in terms of.
He's talking about Space Invaders, though, isn't he?
Jeez. He's ahead of schedule in terms of where he should be because the incremental things he needs to do apparently is way ahead. So
apparently can feel his toes again. That's a start.
Well, I think they're still at the MCG on the wing. And Goldsack's also aiming to be right for the end of the season.
Oh, that's the final piece in the puzzle.
Well, it'd actually be useful given that Dunn's gone. If you could actually get these 5 or 6 guys back in going into the finals, you'd actually change the complexion of that team. Because at the moment, I think you're sort of looking at it and going, it's been a really meritorious effort.
It's a lot of changes, though.
Yeah, but, you bring in... look, Elliott's a superstar. If you get him right...
He comes in.
For Solo, I think he's a really good player. I know there's questions on his pressure and all that, but as a goal kicker, he's a proven goal kicker. Aish, was having a breakout season until he broke his knee.
So that was the breakout.
Yeah.
Definitely have him back in.
Treloar, I think.
Well, let me think about this one.
Yes. And you've really missed Treloar since he's gone. You've really missed that, that breakaway pace from the mids. And Sack, given all the injuries to defenders, he'd be very useful. So if you could get those guys in and lose some of the more inexperienced players who I think are tiring.
I think so.
And that's only natural. I think it really changes the context of the season for us.
Reinvigorates, maybe. Is that the term you're looking for?
Yes.
Good.
That's a good term.
Isn't it?
Hopefully they don't reinvigorate the hospital. No news on Darcy Moot re-signing. Mooty says he is in no rush.
Oh, I fucking beg to differ. I'd be very disappointed if we let him go.
I would be shattered. I thought he was great. He was on a few highlights of...
for someone who is genuinely underdone, no pun intended, great first effort, I thought. Yep. I mean, he really hit those contests hard. His pace, his agility was all on show there, and just everything that you thought that we will benefit out of him was on display, and it can only get better. So, I thought he was very good.
I would have hoped that after
sign.
Yeah, I would have hoped after they re-signed the Goey, there'd be like a wellspring of unity and enthusiasm and more. I'll re-sign now. Also,
I think there would be. However, you've got to be realistic and say that there is a guy by the name of Daniel Wells and Chris Mayne that are eating a fair chunk of that cap at the moment. And I think even if, let's say, that one guy hangs up his boots, I think we still have to factor in that final year under the cap, unless there's some sort of amazing get-out of clause. But yeah, I think we're maybe struggling with finding the right coin for Moot.
So this is the thing
at this stage.
At this thing I'm curious at. You had a few weeks ago Tom Brown saying Collingwood have a lot of salary cap machinations going on the fit. May and Lynch. So you figure,
they'd come cheap, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Well, if you can fit those two in, surely there's room. Surely when they took on Mayne and Wells, they weren't so stupid to say...
I mean, it's a good point, really. I mean, if the media don't know, who really would?
Yeah. I mean, one of the other media said that we were struggling to fit people.
Club, it's Tom Brown. Salary cap, yep, exactly that figure. Okay, I'll report on that. Cheers, bye.
But I was just going to say that, to me, it seems when they got Wells and Mayne in, they would have had to have thought, well, in a couple of years, we've got to re-sign De Goey, Moore, Scharenberg, Aish, all these guys. So... would getting these two guys prohibit us re-signing any of these guys? Now, unless Moore's asking for some absurd amount, which they're not going to pay, they surely must have factored in a couple of years ago that, hey, we are going to have a whole lot of young guys who are going to ask for pay rises in 2-3 years. Is Wells and Mayne going to affect this? And if they haven't actually thought that far ahead, then...
I mean, really did that. I mean, how many more years has... what's his name?
Mayne.
Mayne got? Well, I know Wells is up next year, but Main's got another 2 years.
I thought it was terrible. He wasn't the only one, but...
No, it's hard to really single anyone out.
I will.
But the thing is, I mean, you must be able to say to some players, look, you take a smaller cut now for a bigger cut after the fact. That wouldn't be any sort of surprise. The fact that they can't even lock that down now it's a little bit of a concern with him, I think.
I just think it'd be, if they could actually get him re-signed, some of these things, for every week they don't re-sign, it actually worries me that, you want to
avoid the crap that we went through with Trav that year. It just becomes too much of a distraction. And if there's one fucking thing Collingwood doesn't need in the finals campaign, it's distraction.
Really?
No, I don't think so.
Just speculation. Mid-season trade would be a good thing.
No, I'm not a fan of that.
Why?
I can't see how you can talk about loyalty and all that sort of thing on one hand and then just suddenly turn up next week in a different jumper. I mean, it benefits you if you've got a couple of guns and you're heading towards finals, but I just don't think in the overall quality of honouring staying with a particular club, even though that's diminishing, mid-season would be a terrible thing for me.
I hope they do it, because I like the anarchy. Question, who'll win the Norwich Rising Star?
Well, hasn't Stevenson already won it?
Apparently the big mover is Tom Duday at Adelaide.
Well, he's had 3 years to have a fair crack at it, so that's probably reasonable.
Yeah.
No, I think, look, I'll probably expect Stevenson not to win it because that's just what happens to Collingwood players. But if he did not win that, it would be one of the great fucking travesties of all time. He's been so far head and shoulders apart above the other competition. And Ted Richards looks like a bit of a gun. But
disappointing Collingwood didn't pick him up too under the
grandfather's son.
Grandson.
Stevenson's just fucking brilliant for the stage of his career it's at. Like he was playing on Hearn on the weekend, and he was turning him inside out and selling him dummies and stuff. And you got no right to be doing that at that age and that inexperience against someone who's a very quality defender. Travesty if he doesn't win it. Travesty.
Yeah. This is not about Collingwood, but I brought this up a few once. So the coverage is doing a lot of innovative things, and by innovative I mean moronic. Bringing us the pre-game the pre-game preview from inside a club's dressing rooms. I think they tried a mid-game interview with Richardson going down to talk to someone on the bench. After the game, you have Brian Taylor roving around the rooms just interviewing whoever he can. What do you think of this as the next step in football coverage? Because I might go a little bit hard on this one. A little bit.
Look, to be honest, I mean, occasionally I'll watch roving Brian. Sometimes it can be mildly entertaining. A lot of the times it's just he looks completely fucking disinterested in what he's asking people of. He finds people that he's interested in. It works when it's not. But you see in Formula 1, they do this for a whole fucking day nearly before a race. They go around and interview everyone randomly. It just seems to be a trend in sport now to sort of make it a little bit more approachable for people. But for me personally, I mean, generally when a game's done, I'm done. I'm looking for something else to do. I don't really tend to hang around too much for post-match interviews or anything like that. I'm not really fussed about it. But you sound like you've got a bit of
I fucking hate this shit. It reminds me of Hollywood...
Hang on a second. So you hate this shit?
Yeah, I hate this shit. It reminds me of Hollywood blockbusters that throw just so much shit at the screen and go, look at this, look at this, look at this. We'll catch your attention with something, hopefully. There's so much crap going on. You know what? When the panel, as educated as they are giving us their pre-game preview, I want to listen to them. But I want to be distracted by the fucking football team behind them handballing, doing handballing drills and chatting and all that sort of shit. How much stuff do you want us to digest simultaneously? Just fucking pare back. I find the interviews like after the quarter time and half time sirens, I find them fucking objectionable when they go and drag a play and go, fucking tell us what you think. Because you know what the thing that really annoys me? No one is saying anything of interest. It's all, we stuck to our structures, we ran hard, a bit disappointing, we let him get away a little. It's like, who gives a fuck? They're not telling you anything. And then you got to chase down these interviews in the name of entertainment. It's bullshit. Just relax. Fucking go back to doing what you do well. In the case of Channel 7, I think that was giving up the football rights. But, just pare back. You don't need all this shit going on at once. It's not that interesting. And if people go, it helps grow the game. Bullshit. Stuff like Auskick and that helps grow the game. Fucking doing all this shit and, door-stopping footballers to get interviewed doesn't grow the game. It's just mindless drivel.
Bit like this show.
And in now, and it's a perfect segue. Mark Robinson on the tackle in the Herald Sun.
Oh, this should be good.
Poses.
Does
Poses about the Collingwood West Coast game. Is this the blueprint for stopping the Pies? I didn't bother reading because I couldn't give a shit.
It's hard to imagine where he would have gone next with that.
Yes.
One win, that just stitches your whole season up.
No, we're fucked. We're finished. Is this the blueprint for... Yes, the blueprint for stopping the Pies, like it is for stopping any other team, is kick more goals. Or, kick more of a score. Yeah, anyway. Robbo on Twitter, being the paragon of virtue and integrity that he is, had a shot at Shannon Knoll, who lost his shit. And Robbo on Twitter said...
Which club does he play for? Kangaroos, isn't it?
I think he plays for Sydney. Can't have a throwaway line about effing some bloke's mother and his wife. Shannon Knoll, you're part of the problem. And then he poses to everyone, what's your thoughts? Well, firstly, learn fucking grammar. It's not what's your thoughts. What are your thoughts? Fuck. I can't believe the nerve of this guy who openly mocked Alex Fasolo's depression, went on SEN that night and delivered the most disingenuous, rambling, bullshit apology I have fucking ever heard. And then on top of all that, also actually it was previous to that, when Erin Phillips won the AFLW Best and Fairest there at Brownlow, and she kissed her wife Tracy, fucking he made this comment leered about, oh, wasn't that a little bit of a turn on for the guys and the two women kissed?
Well, he was in the toilet at the time.
It's like, really, someone needs to,
What? Do what?
I can't say because it'll probably be firing. Anyway, that's it from Media Mephitic. We'll be back with our match preview. Welcome to the match preview. We are playing that powerhouse, North Melbourne.
Snuff smell bum?
I think Richmond announced, like 100,000 members?
Just on this, I would love just any fucking club to give a real breakdown of what these real members look like. I reckon they just bullshit any sort of membership into some sort of collective figure these days.
I'm sure they factor in half-game memberships and, future generation memberships and shit like that.
But anyway, that's it'd be nice to see, but anyway, keep going.
North's close behind. They're on 100 memberships. Okay, so...
And that's just this decade.
Yes. Sorry to all the North supporter out there.
You know who you are.
So, we're playing North this week.
Are we?
Yes. And North, after a bright start to the year, have plateaued a little bit and have come down. Lost a close one to Sydney.
Very close one to Sydney. Very close.
Yeah,
good game, actually, that one.
I don't follow North enough to know what else they've done.
Nobody does. Yeah. Don't feel offended.
I don't know where they are on the ladder. Just in terms of...
they're knocking on the 8.
With about 14 other clubs, except for Carlton.
Next.
What are your thoughts about this game?
Look, really, it should be a win. And I'm fairly confident it will be a win. I think we'll take on board what happened to us on the weekend and bounce back more than effectively. You look at the game on the weekend, Zeeble, Brown and... what's his name? Not Aaliyah. Magic Door, sorry. That didn't come out racist, did it?
Yes,
the fact that I've confused him with someone else. They were dominant. To be honest, I don't think Magic Door's got another good game in him for the rest of the year. That's his one. He has one a year. Brown's the one that worries me. I think Moody will probably really play off him well with the athleticism. Brown's a really good bullock and big forward. You deny him a bit of supply, and I think that's game done for them. The fact that Zeeble popped up with a bit of a cameo on the goal scoring is not really a concern. But other than that, who else have they got? I don't know any of their players. Robbie Talent, that guy we gave him.
Marley Williams.
Yeah, that's him. Really, that's about it, isn't it? They've got a couple of other blokes that run around in a jumper.
Kerry Good.
Wayne Schimmelbusch.
Xavier Tanner.
Yeah, Barry Cable with a tractor on him. Fucked if I know who they are, but no, I think we should account for them.
I hope we do too. Just again, I'm a bit worried about the tiredness, but just looking forward to the rest of the year. So we play North at the MCG. Okay, we play Richmond at the MCG. All right,
Bit worried about that one.
tell me, just count in your head how many wins. So North, Richmond. We play Sydney at the SCG. Play Brisbane at the MCG. We play Port at the MCG, and we play Freo over at what's called Optus Stadium now in WA. Now, just looking at the ladder really quickly, we sit on 44 points, 6 ahead of GWS, who's 7th on 38 points, because I'm looking at these clubs as the ones who are vying for the spot, and Geelong, who's 8th, and North, 9th, Hawthorn, 10th on 36 points. So they're the clubs I think are vying for our spot. I think the other ones in the 8 are probably safe. So how many wins did you come out of North, Richmond, Sydney, Brisbane, Port? And
3, maybe 4.
I've got us 4-2.
42?
42. It's a good sign, the Lanes number. I got us on 4 wins and 2 losses from that. I think, I'm still worried about the times, but I think bringing these other guys back, who hopefully they stand up, but bringing these other guys back will inject some experienced bodies into the side and give us some stability just as we're levelling off.
The other thing you've got to think about too is that we're tiring. There's a number of other teams that are a bit shaky on the weekend too that probably should have had gimme wins. Port got smashed by Freo over there, and they're supposed to be flag favourites according to
so the only reason
Damien Barrett.
Yeah, that's right, because they beat. They weren't serious because they didn't beat Carlton by.
Well, they can't be serious now.
Yeah. But,
so I think the thing is, it's not so much that you're going to have to win a lot of those. It's also, as you saw on the weekend, we could have plummeted down to 5th, I think it was.
Yeah,
but then results have propped us up, and that could be a factor over the next couple of weeks as well. You wouldn't want to hedge your bets on that, but there's every chance.
Well, the problem I sort of qualify us as being a little bit more precarious is because we do have those 14 injuries, and you are relying on Scharenberg in his first genuine season, and Dacos and Crocker and these guys, and then you got even guys like Darcy Moore haven't had a lot of football behind them. So you're relying on some young guys, and you think if it went the other way, if you got a couple more injuries, it would be like, well, that's it. I'm not sure who you would be bringing up. At the moment, the way I look at it, if you bring Elliott up, would come in for Crocker, Fasola would come in for Dacos, Aish would come in for Main, who's an experienced body.
Possibly, yeah.
Who's the other one? If Trelaw comes in later in the season, hopefully, you'd bring
He comes in for whoever he wants.
Yeah. But I'm just sort of looking at, you need that stability with the experience because that's what we've really been lacking. I think sometimes that's why I had a bit of an uneven performance where they come out really enthusiastic. That game on, what day we playing? Sunday? Whatever it was? Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
We don't play Saturdays, do we? No. But anyway, that game on Sunday, you think if they kicked the first 5 goals, it would have been like the Melbourne match. They would have been up, full of running. West Coast would have been defensive. Yeah. So there's a lot of things about momentum, but I think because you have that young side, it's also that sort of thing, and this is where the Trelaw hurt really lost. Trelaw loss really hurt us. When Pendlebury and Sidebottom had a quiet game on Sunday, you really lacked that Trelaw type to sort of come up and go, okay, I'll be the one who's going to lift.
And put a bit of momentum into it.
And then Buckley tried things like bringing DeGoey up forward, but it was like, well, if you bring him up forward, then who's kicking your goals and all that. So then you have to rely on people like Phillips to really lift up, and it's not a slap at Phillips, but again, he's a young player, and more inexperienced.
Yeah, look, I think with him it was encouraging that his first half was almost back to his best. Before he just.
But you need those experienced players because they're the guys who provide hopefully that standard, that level standard throughout a game, rather than young guys who are going to be spasmodic unless you're Jaden Stevenson. Anyway, any final thoughts about the Collingwood North game?
No, just go out in a tone for this one and smash them.
I have a prediction that at some point, who's their coach? Brad Scott?
That's one of them.
He'll do this.
Like the Lost in Space robot.
He'll go, let's do the time warp again. But I think we'll win by 14 points.
24.
Okay, so that's it from us for this week. If you have any comments, leave them down there. If you want to subscribe, leave them there. If you like what you hear, leave it down there too.
We should point out there was some comments this week, and we were just too lazy to respond to them. But thanks for writing. No, it's been a bit of a hectic mishmash, so catching up was a bit difficult to sit down and work through the stuff. But thanks for the output.
Because you were away, I hired Mark Robinson's research guy.
Well, just hang shit on the people then.
And since he doesn't exist, no one did the work.
Oh, I see where you're going with that one.
Yep. All right, so that's it from us. See you next week.
Thanks for watching.